Mr. Cox.
Mr. Schwarzinger, there we are.
Welcome back to our podcast. Thanks for having me back in Milan.
Most welcome to have you here, of course. Pleasure as always.
Good. So Reggie, this one we already announced, I think 2 podcasts ago, but then we did the one on the durability, Realtalk first.
Yeah, sure.
Because that was a topic close to your heart. Now this one is closer to my heart because, a little bit of backstory, when you talk with German guys in some areas of the German detailing scene, you often hear the sentence, well, it's all good what we have here, but we're now nowhere close to what America is, and America is the leading detailing nation. And my reaction was, oh, exactly the look you gave me just. That was always my reaction. Really? You think that America is the leading detailing nation?
You have any idea what the reasoning was behind that?
I have some ideas, and we will talk about it in this podcast episode. But my reaction always was, really? Because I don't think so. I don't think that America is the leading detailing nation anymore. Maybe it was once, but I don't think it is anymore. And we will talk about a little bit of evidence in this episode, a little bit of our experience, especially your experience, because I think your experience in that respect is a little bit more valid. We completely and honestly understand that this episode will be insulting to some, especially the Americans, obviously.
I think if you are, of course, if you're very patriotic and it's about your country, then of course there should be
of course. We
of
completely understand that,
100%.
but please try to understand our reasoning, because the name of that podcast is Veritas. It's the truth in German, sorry, in English. In German, it's die Wahrheit. We will try to explain everything we say, but nonetheless, it will be insulting to some, and we will not talk about single individual persons.
No,
that's not our purpose. We will not insult you personally, but it is a topic that has come up, and we will talk about it. Why America isn't the leading detailing nation anymore. Now, you asked me, was it once, or do you have some idea where it comes from? Yes, I think America once was the leading detailing nation, and that goes back to the start of the detailing industry, I would say. I think I sent you the link to that detailing documentary. That was, if you haven't seen it, I completely forgot the name of it.
Detailing Space, Detailing.
Exactly, Detailing Space is the channel, and it's the history of detailing, I think it's called. It's a fantastic documentary. There was a lot of time and money involved in creating it, and please go and have a watch. If I can, I'm not sure if I can do it in podcast, I will link to the video in the podcast description.
It's literally
I think it's a good starting point that you first watch that documentary and then come back to the podcast.
Because the documentary by itself is more than worth the watch.
Yes.
I have found it. I cannot believe you told me about it. How is this not having traction? How is this video not going viral right now? Because nobody has ever put so much effort in history, where it came from, especially what I believe Mike Phillips does an explanation about the history of...
Yeah, exactly.
and Mike, shout out, bro. Really good information, thank you.
Exactly, I'm going back to that. I think the starting point of the whole history have been brands like Turtle Wax, like Simonis maybe, like Maguire's. I know that Mafra also has a rich and long-lasting history, Sonax also has, but not as long as those brands. No. And I think that's where it started, and I think, yes, back then when the mass production of cars with Ford started, yes, I think America was the leading industry.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think we can say that.
Absolutely.
Yes. But I have no idea when it changed, but it changed over time, definitely. And we will talk about some of our experiences with other countries, but I personally think that countries like, especially the UK, Germany, Korea, in some areas Japan, Italy in some areas are or have surpassed America as the leading detailing nation. And we will go into depth what that means and why we come to that conclusion. Now, Reggie, you are in a unique position to talk about that because you are the international master trainer for Labocosmetica. So you travel the world, you introduce other countries and people to your brand and the products and how to properly use them. So you see a lot of detailing in different countries and how it is made there. And we will do a different podcast episode to just introduce people to the idea that detailing really is a spectrum, and everything within that spectrum is okay, because what we sometimes in the developed world see and think is the standard for detailing in other countries really isn't. There are other ways of doing it, and we also maybe have to change our perspective of what is the right thing to do. That's a topic for a different episode. However, you see a lot of what detailing is in other countries. And maybe you can tell a little bit of your experience, what you see in other countries compared to what you see in America, because I already know from our talks at dinner and lunch that you are sometimes frustrated with the Americans when it comes to detailing.
Sometimes. But it's mostly because my personal philosophy, if you want to put a phrase to it, detailing for me is the fastest, most efficient way to a perfect car with the utmost prioritization of man, machine, and environment.
Okay.
That's my
a
philosophy.
Beautiful sentence.
It's stolen from the military, where it's described how to do off-road driving. It's exactly the same. Man, machine is the fastest, most efficient way from A to B with the utmost
sneaky
man.
Bastard.
But for the detailing, it's exactly the same. I think is just one of the 7.5 billion opinions we have of the. My opinion is not worth more than anybody else's opinion, but what I see in here now in Europe, what is getting the overhand, and what I see in Korea and other Asian countries, is that they are focusing more on substrate-based detailing, while I see in the United States they are more focused on result-based detailing.
Ooh,
and what I mean by
that's a rich sentence.
What I mean by substrate-based detailing is that especially the Koreans, who have the highest, if you would say, let's say about the techniques, but the way they treat their car, they are so far ahead of everybody else. That's ridiculous. Their level of contamination, what we call very light dirty, is for them very heavy dirty. And they have more the focus on treating their car, but also thinking about where they are treating and where the product is going. Does it have any diminishing values if they use this soap on and plastic or and rubber or and aluminium? So they are focusing on, okay, yes, I want to clean it, but I do not want to diminish the duration of the substrate I'm treating. So magnesium wheels will never be touched with an aluminium or an alkaline cleaner. They are using then pH neutral. Because they're thinking about, yes, I want to have it clean, but I don't want to devalue either the state of the aesthetics, while I see in the United States, if it has gloss, slick, and smell, then it's already halfway there, plus the effect of the visualization, what is happening. So for them, you see the browning is very important, the dirt coming off, leaking from the surface, the things that happen.
That's a good example.
During the removal of the dirt, extra words that are being put there as dirt encapsulation, more stuff that is happening with. I'm not saying that it's all, like I said, it's not for everyone, it's everything, but the videos and the content I see coming from the United States versus what I see coming from Japan and from Korea is that they are more focused on, yes, I want to have it clean, but I will respect the surface. In the United States, you see that the speed and the efficiency and the result after is more important. Or it's because of the knowledge, I am not sure, but this is what I have seen. And then we can take the other extreme, where in Europe, say example, an average detail with the good amount of work for inside and outside could take up to 2 to 3 days. It's pretty normal. It's a pretty normal effect here in the Netherlands, in Europe. So also Italy, very normal starting to become. And while I see when I went to Kuwait that the entire interior and exterior, inclusive of sanding and polishing, the removal of the seats, everything is done in 4 hours.
Wow.
And this is culture. This is pure culture. We are then talking about result-based detailing, but they are only focusing getting that car in that time frame ready with the cheapest amount of work, with the cheapest amount of product use, as less complicated as possible, but 100% for the result. A dirty seat should be clean, regardless if it's sticky, if it's smelly, if it's whatever. They are focusing more on the result, and in that time frame, it's very logical that they don't have the time to wait for a chemical to work in. Then we went to Vietnam, and in Vietnam we really started to introduce the word pre-wash. Most of the washing what I saw on the street was a guy with a bucket of water and some soap. I'm assuming it's soap because it was foaming, and a t-shirt to clean the truck. And that was their car wash. Not everywhere, of course, but these kind of things I see. The things I have seen would make other people go into PTSS mode immediately because it deviates so far from what they believe is detailing. And I can make videos, I can make documentaries for the things that I've seen, but the world is not ready for what I have seen. I'm lucky I went twice to Afghanistan to have a little bit of a sense of what it's like to work in a crisis area or being shot at all day. But if I didn't have that, I would probably have emotional damage from the things I've seen done to cars, done to substrates, done to certain materials, just to get it clean. And
interesting. And I mean,
it's very extreme.
It's the perfect transition to some examples I have which go into exactly the same direction. Leather cleaning. Now, leather is a topic on its own, which we will go to in depth in one of the future episodes. But at this point, what I would say is, I think with, let's say, 75%, 3/4 of detailers in Germany, the UK, or Italy, or Japan, or Korea, they have understood that leather indeed is a different material than anything else in the car. And they have understood that using the wrong techniques to clean that material can and will, in fact, damage the material. I have never seen and still see so much ignorance when it comes to leather cleaning as in the US. There's still so many detailers who think you can clean leather with a magic eraser or a magic sponge. It's fascinating. They either don't know or understand what a magic eraser is, which is fascinating, because if you don't know what it is, let me tell you right now, it is the equivalent of a 4,000 to 6,000 grit sandpaper. That's what it is. It's interesting when you see it under a microscope. I will show you the pictures. It actually looks like a chainsaw. Very fine strings of chainsaw. That's how it looks.
Oh,
it is sandpaper and it is abrasive. It doesn't. That's always the excuse that some use. Yeah, if you use it lightly, it won't be. Yes, it is. You can't use sandpaper lightly. It is abrasive.
No manufacturer is taking in effect that the wear and tear, natural wear and tear of a leather seat by getting in and outside of the car and moving on the seat, that magic sponge does not represent any of the abrasion that a leather has to do during its natural form of life.
It's much worse.
I think the worst thing is the jeans going back and forth.
No.
That is the worst thing that a person...
No, it's not.
What is the worst thing for leather?
The magic sponge.
No, I mean natural. The natural use of leather means that the worst thing happening in a seat is
not cleaning it.
That's also bad.
Not cleaning it. But the thing with your jeans is it's not a naturally abrasive material, and it glides over it rather good and beautifully.
But the manufacturer knows this, that the jeans is going over, so they will make it resistant.
They develop it that it can resist that. But a magic sponge is an abrasive material, and it doesn't matter how lightly you use it, you will attack and remove the top coat. And Americans are, if you tell them, they are very defensive about the fact that what they do is not damaging to leather. The issue with leather damage is you don't see it right away. That's the issue. And I always tell people, if they think a magic eraser is safe for leather, please go ahead and use it on your car's paint. And then look at it under a light source and then tell me it's not damaging to leather. Yeah, that's the thing. That leather, one example. Next example, waterless wash. Waterless wash. In every single other country, you talk with detailers, they know that waterless washing or rinseless washing exists. They understand the concept of it, but they understand the limitations of it, and they understand that it is an alternative method to washing the car, and they also understand that it will always be an inferior alternative to washing the car. In the best case scenario, waterless or rinseless washing can be as safe, but only in the best case scenario. Only if you do everything right. Yeah. In America, and it's the only country on earth where that happens, waterless is made out to be more than that. They try to sell it as this superior method of washing a car or treating a car, because you can also do the interiors, you can keep the waterless or rinseless solution you have in the bucket even if you use that water, because some sort of magic encapsulation takes place. It's only in America that we see that.
That's true, but I believe, and I already know, if we start a discussion with somebody that has been doing the rinseless from beginning of on, will, and I'm probably convinced that he can give us an argument or a couple of arguments where the rinseless will then indeed, we will get this stalemate. We will get the good points from the washing with normal method, we will get the rinseless, and at some point there will be an agreement, and at some point there will be we will never come to toe-to-toe or eye-to-eye on a certain level, because then the personal opinion gets into effect. But if it's science-based, 100% science-based, normal washing is with pre-wash and water.
I'm 100% sure of that. And as I said, I'm also convinced in the best case scenario, rinseless washing can be a viable option. To be fair, in some countries and in some areas and regions, it's the only option you have, because you're not allowed to wash your car the traditional way. I completely accept that.
The car has such a low level of contamination that the washing self with the normal washing could be considered as over-exaggerating the proper job. So in the end, the worlds will never come to a full agreement with each other. There will always be the differences of, and that is okay, because different opinions lead to different situations, lead to different philosophies, and that is also evolution. But yes, indeed, in the United States, the rinseless has been embedded the deepest into the DNA of the details.
Yeah, and it is sold as the selling of that idea is what I think is going is blown out of proportion.
I told you how much convincing it took for me to take this product, to accept this into the Euro-Safe, to Labocosmetica, because whichever SDS or MSDS I read, if you say water-based, if you say polymer-based, don't say that. If you say surfactant-based, don't say that. I'm not going to say what it is, but please read the MSDS. The first word in the MSDS of the ingredient is the base of the product. And do not be surprised with what you will find, because I'm not going to say that online. I'm going to challenge you to look up any MSDS of any rinseless wash in the world and check what the base ingredient is that makes up the 80 to 90% of the content of the bottle itself.
You're not going to say it. The name of that podcast is Veritas, the truth. It's water.
It's fucking
water.
It's water.
That's what the base of that product. So there is no such thing as a polymer-based or surfactant-based waterless wash or rinseless wash. There isn't such a thing. It's water. That's what it is.
It's that every single product that is liquid and not solvent-based is water-based. So the polishes are water-based. If we take out the water, we have a little bit of lubricant, greasy powder left. If we take off this, the same things happens. You have a little bit of plastic and a little bit of powder left.
Exactly. And I think if the main characters around that whole rinseless movement, and we will name in this podcast, it's Ivan Lacroix. If you listen to him explaining it, there's also many points in videos where he says, rinseless does not mean you don't do a pre-wash stage.
Yeah, that's true.
So they accept the fact that a pure rinseless, without a pre-wash, without touching the car with a wash mitt, has its limitations.
Yes.
And I think that's the main point we try to get across. A rinseless will always be an alternative, and in our view, an inferior alternative. And that's what many Americans don't accept. They make it out to be some magic form of cleaning, which it just isn't.
Yeah, because scientifically speaking, the mechanical action is the majority of the washing from a rinseless. It's not the chemical.
No.
The emulsification, the loosening and everything is so little that the mechanical action is the highest cleaning of the rinseless washing. Where in a normal wash, there is more to the chemical.
Absolutely. I mean, if a product is 85% water and you dilute that by 1 to 256, you can imagine how much there is of that product in your bucket.
If you really want to be honest, you just look at the density, what 1 liter weighs. The higher the density, the more there's in there. 1 liter of water weighs 1 kilogram. If you have 1 liter of shampoo that weighs 1.136 kilogram, you can say you have a pretty stuffed shampoo. If it's 1.09, there's only 90 grams of ingredients inside that make it a little bit harder. But everything is still based out of water. And that the extras coming to it are a polymer and a surfactant, because there's always a surfactant. Even a polymer can be a surfactant.
Exactly.
A polymer can be protection, it could be a surfactant, it could be a cleaning agent, it could be an emulsifier, and it could be an encapsulator.
Polymer really is just a term. It's a collecting term for a million different things.
The same when somebody says it's PTFE based or it's Teflon based. No, Teflon is PTFE, but it's a brand name. Like Alcantara is a substrate, but also a brand name.
Exactly.
It's the same material, and the same with the Teflon. Teflon is PTFE or polyfluor or whatever, and Teflon is the brand name.
Exactly.
It's just the brand that uses this certain chemical to make an anti-cooking layer.
Yeah. And so those are two examples I have, the leather example, the waterless example. But let's go back to different countries and why we think they maybe are superior. And I'll start with an additional example, which will then transition to other countries. Soap versus snow foam. In the US, it is changing slowly, but I still have the feeling that many American retailers have not understood the concept of a pre-wash and what a snow foam is actually for. Because when Americans ask for what is a good soap, that's what I see happening. They spray the soap with a foam cannon on the car and then they wash over it immediately without a pre-wash, without a snow foam stage. That's what I see is happening. In any other country, retailers have understood that the safest way to clean a car is to first do a separate pre-wash, either with a pre-wash specific alkaline product or a snow foam. And then you use a soap in the next step, either applied via foam cannon or in the bucket. That's what I see is happening. And that leads me to what I think is actually leading the detailing industry, which is, in my opinion, the UK, Germany, and or Korea. Those three countries. Because in Germany you have brands, and a lot of brands, which are very, very scientifically driven, which do a lot of testing, especially when it comes to material safety, especially when it comes to the products being able to be sold in different countries, because Germans are they love their rules and regulations, but they also love the rules and regulations of other countries and they respect them. So a Zonex, a Koch Chemie will always make sure that the products they make and sell will also be legal to be sold in America and other countries. That's what I see happening in Germany. In the UK, you have one of the richest scenes and industries I have ever seen. I don't think there's another country where there are so many different brands as in the UK compared to how big the country is. Yeah, they have that, and they definitely have some brands which are leading the whole industry in terms of quality and performance. I think of Bild Hamber, what they are doing with some of their snow foams. I think of Infinity Wax, which was on the forefront with the graphene development. And Dodo Juice, I still think, is a rather interesting, good company. To name some examples. And then there is Korea, which is pretty much leading the world in microfibers and microfiber materials. China is catching up, but Korea is still leading, and also in ceramic coating technology and development together with Japan.
Beading products, what they have available in every single self-wash unit box shop, what they have available there, we cannot compete with Perfecta SI2 or with Perfecta or with Revitax or with Beneficia, because there are so many that have a spray and wipe that can that kick ass with all these products. Yeah. And then it's not about, because the bead for them their bead is more perfect than our bead. That we accept a slower performing bead faster than they do. Yes, plus they have the incredible facilities, so that you for example, you have a self-wash unit, and the self-wash unit is one big covered hall. It's completely secluded. You drive inside, you have pre-registered yourself to rent for an hour or two the bay. In that bay, everything is to your disposal, from a washing machine to buckets to wash media to whatever you want. You drive inside, the camera registers your license plate, the door opens, your bay opens, you drive inside, there's a shop, there's a restaurant. It's an experience. They spend average 2 to 3 hours washing their car multiple times a week. With that amount of discipline comes the request for products. And those products should meet their critical opinion about how a product should perform and how the application should go. And I tell you, the fact that we have successful with 3PAs is big honor, because it's really difficult to get a foothold in a country where there's...
To the listeners who don't know about it, 3pH is your system of maintaining and decontaminating a ceramic-coated car, which is an alkaline pre-wash, then a pH-neutral shampoo, then a sour or acidic shampoo to remove the mineral deposits, and just for the listeners.
For them, it was the answer to, even though they can apply these products every week, for them it was very important that any nano protection for them works with 3pH.
Okay.
It revives it, it keeps it longer alive, it gives them the opportunity to reapply their favorite product with no issues, it gives them the removal of the water spots at an ease that they have never seen before. Yeah. And then in combination with what they have as the microfiber, because when I go there, it's impossible to find a demo car. The last time in Japan, I got a demo car, it was ceramically coated, it was freshly washed.
You mean for training purposes?
For training purposes. Okay. He gives me, it was an E-Class Mercedes station. I tried to throw Primus 1 to 5 on it, it beat it off so hard. I said, what do you want me to show? The smell or the color of the foam? Because this is not going to happen. There is nothing going to happen on this car. And that was the worst car on the lot at that moment. So we didn't even find a decent demo. So I had to do the how-to without showing the performance. Very interesting. But they are literally, and I see that idea that they have, and this is something for Germany. If you have the investment or the possibility to make such a facility with these self-wash units, where you take away the rule of not staying in the bay too long, for not bringing your own products, for drying your car, you have to go immediately. All these, I've seen these rules. I've seen the videos Sebastian makes. I've seen the videos that you make. The whining these owners do, they can make a lot more money by this by creating a car lovers community a little bit more friendly, a little bit more specified cool products inside, some good smelling foams, some good soaps, some washes and everything. And you have a returning customer bay that you have to close. You have to reserve the bay because it will be.
I think at some point there will be such a. I think it would need to be a franchise system. I think so too. And I think at some point someone will jump on that train, because I've been telling it since the last 3 years that we need something like that in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Yeah. But let's see when that happens. So maybe that's a good point to talk about the differences in like car care culture and car care legislation between different countries, because that maybe also leads to the differences we see in the industry, right?
100%.
Because in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, the Netherlands, I think in Italy it's the same. We are not allowed to wash our cars at home, on our driveway, on our streets. It's not allowed. We are legally not allowed to do it because of water pollution legislation. Yeah. We can't. What you can do in the UK and in America, we can't. There are severe fines which can go up to several $10,000 or pounds when we do.
It's true.
And if they find out. And that already creates a different industry and scene, I think, because we have to go, if we want to do it legally, we have to go to the public self-wash spaces. But then again, those public self-wash places, they sometimes forbid that you bring your own product. Yeah. They sometimes freak out when you are in there for several hours. So we have a very delicate and difficult situation.
Yeah, then that transforms into finding a solution for that problem. That probably would transform into many states in the United States also have this water safety, not washing your car.
Exactly.
That makes it born that something takes over in that culture, where I already see that rinseless is never going to be popular in Korea, because it's absolutely the possibilities they have to wash their car so close to their home. They have to wash the car. The price it's going to cost, the availability of the products at hand. I said to them, if you can find a successful way to use this product in Korea, please let me know.
Your waterless,
the waterless or the rinseless, please let me know, because that's going to be a very difficult issue. Or a challenge, at least, to say the least, a challenge, to transform them from hardcore pre-washers to not pre-washing and immediately using something. I can see the faces of the green go, no.
And it's the same topic with mobile detailing. At least I can say it for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, there is no such thing as mobile detailing. There isn't. Because you cannot drive to someone's home and wash his car there. It's not possible. It's legally not possible.
No,
in the US, in the UK, I know mobile detailing is huge.
Yes. Yes, very huge. Very, very, very huge.
And
also,
that also leads to different challenges, where a lot of American detailers I see asking questions which products I can use in direct sunlight, because you're going to a customer to his driveway, you need to wash and prepare that car in the sun, in the heat.
Yep.
And I understand that challenge.
That is absolutely a challenge. Because you have to rely on what the manufacturer says, if it actually is product safe or material safety. Then then again, I don't believe anybody, so I will still test it, and I will still find a way to use something that is very strong, very powerful, not to be used in sunlight, to use successfully in sunlight, just to cut down the time or the quality of the detail itself. Yeah. That was pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe those differences in legislation, in car culture, maybe those lead to the differences we see. But another example, Poland. I just wrote down.
If you have it over the rise of detailing products, the last
detailing
5
products
years,
out of Poland is
chemicals and materials.
Insane.
Good stuff.
Absolutely, exactly.
Work stuff. Poland.
If you
Polka Premium. Poland.
ADBL, Shiny Garage, D-Turner, FX Protect, and that's only a handful.
And that is not from 10 years ago. That is something that popped up very, very lately, recently.
And those chemicals are really, some of them are really, really good.
Especially from ADBL. They have a couple of interesting products.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Some of those Polish brands have issues with material safety data sheets, maybe material safety, but they are good. And that industry alone, I would say, gives the American industry a good run for its money.
Oh, this one. What Poland did in that short amount of time is by itself impressive enough to create something in that short amount of time that catches up. Because if there is not much pushing from these products, this is something that went from mouth to mouth, and that landed in many other people's cabinets by word to mouth or mouth to mouth, whatever you say. And quality products. And for the price, there's still the Dutch guy in me, so there's always the price issue.
Exactly, those products are dirt cheap, some of them.
Yes, that is absolutely interesting. And it's good because that raises the competition more to say, okay, so it's possible in that short amount of time we might need to rethink our strategy because we are taking too long to represent these products.
And you brought up a really, really good point, which also like rounds up the topic of why we think America isn't the leading detailing nation anymore. You said that the whole Poland thing was, it boosted itself by product quality and word of mouth. It's pretty much the opposite in America. What drives sales there is marketing.
Yes.
And sometimes we have to say misleading marketing and a self-enforcing effect. What I see is this. In the last, I would say it started about 5 or 6 years ago, the detailing brands realized how YouTubers, how testers tested their products, especially the protective products, when they started with chemical resistancy tests. They saw that everyone applied that product to a hood and then threw chemicals on it. You know what happened? Those brands are not stupid, the people behind it. They developed those products to be good at those tests, which means many products from America. I told you about the Armor All one. The Armor All ceramic spray coating does very well in such tests. Turtleworks has done it. P&S has done it, Maguire's has done it. Those products are fantastic in those tests. However, they sacrificed hydrophobic properties because most of them are not that hydrophobic. They sacrificed ease of use because many of them are difficult to use, are streaky. And that's when you see descriptions like, please wipe them off with a wet towel. You already know why that is. So they sacrificed other areas to be good in those tests because what they do is marketing driven and not necessarily quality driven. Because the German brands also saw that trend, but they did not compromise. They still made those products easy to use and hydrophobic. And that's the difference that I see.
Deutsche Gründlichkeit is non-discussable, undiscussable.
German engineering
is not going to change. It's what they are known for. It's what they are proud of, and that is something that is not going to change.
That's the interesting thing, and my all-time favorite example of a product that represents America and the American scene is the P&S bead maker. Now, again, we are not here to bash P&S or the people behind it or the testers who promoted it in the beginning, but P&S Beatmaker, I don't understand why it became so popular.
I really
don't. Have you ever tested it?
No.
Okay.
No.
It is a reasonably easy to use, very slick product, and that's it. That's all it does. It can be streaky if you apply too much. It's not that hydrophobic, despite the name being Beatmaker, which is misleading. It's not as durable as they made it out to be. And they sold it as the perfect topper for ceramic coatings, when in fact, when you do that, you apply a ceramic coating to a panel and then do Beatmaker on one half on it, you will see that Beatmaker decreases the hydrophobic properties of a ceramic coating.
No. It's impossible to put something on something that is not going to happen.
Exactly. And it's the perfect example of a mediocre product becoming very popular based on some reviews of it.
Yeah, because the numbers don't lie. The amount of the gallons or the IBCs that are leaving P&S are impressive by itself.
Absolutely.
The numbers is holy crap.
But I can tell you out of my head about 30 different products which do exactly what Beatmaker does, but more and better.
Yeah. That's the same reason why I never used it, because back then I was already accustomed to so many other great products from other different brands. Not saying Labocosmetica, but many different brands that already had something much more what they could do.
Yes.
Possibilities, ease of use, price, quality wise, duration. If we want to start that discussion again, how long it was on there. But there's also a full spectrum from 1 day to 1 year.
Exactly. And I mean, I know this is hard to say, especially from an Austrian guy who lives in Switzerland, especially from a Dutch guy who works in Italy. But we have the feeling that America is not leading anymore in any category.
No. Globally represented brands from the United States. We have Meguiar's, 100%.
And Meguiar's really has lost its edge. Really. I mean, I know it's hard, but Meguiar's has really lost its edge.
Meguiar's, 100% worldwide represented. Armor All, I see more and more. Or do I see Adams more and more? Adams polishes, I see
Adams is on an expansion trip, I think.
Yeah,
Armor All always was there.
Armor All, I see also. I remember Singapore in the shop.
Turtle Wax,
of course.
And then P&S is expanding, I think.
Yes, but P&S, I see the other ones, the Turtle Wax, the Meguiar's, the chemical guys.
You see more, yes,
a
definitely.
lot more. There's a noticeable difference.
And I mean, maybe that's the best hint we have that what we say we are onto something. Can you name me an American brand that has taken any market in any other country than the US by storm?
Today?
Yeah.
Today, no. Chemical Guys has had a very, very long, successful run, being the benchmark go-to product
for the show and shine lifestyle brand. Yes.
Right before that, it was still also the professionals. Back then, when the black and white labels were still there. Okay. The old bottles, that is a very long time ago. Yeah. Where Virtual Bond 408 was still alive. Yeah.
And now I ask you another question. Can you name me a few brands which are very popular in America right now, which are not US brands?
Koch
Chimney has a huge run right now.
Kicking ass in the United States. And they're setting the bar, because when you use Koch, polish, chemical, everything, APC, Polestar, Green Star, whatever, one in the United States, that is, you feel German technology, engineering.
Exactly. It's Koch Chemie. It's Sienna Gloss from which is made by Dodo Juice, which is slowly getting traction there. I think you, in the last couple of months, Labocosmetica has had a good run in America.
We are moving forward. Yeah. I'm not going to say we are doing super great, or I'm satisfied with the product, what we are doing. But it's also the night and day difference of having so much versatile and so much technology.
Exactly.
You need to know more.
Then those brands are longer there, but Gion, CarPro.
Yes, Gion is also doing very
G-Technique,
good. Yes.
Rupes, Flex. Those are the brands which are taking America by storm. And the other way around, I don't see that much. Because Meguiar's once was a global force to be reckoned with. they unfortunately, I think, have lost it. In my personal opinion is since they were taken over by 3M, I don't see much innovation. And when I see innovation, it is much too late.
Turtle Wax hybrid line came after the last thing that Maguire's did, and hybrid
Turtle
line
Wax had
already
a huge uptaking because they worked very smartly with some influencers. Yes,
yeah, they did a very good and added,
but only in America, not outside of the US.
No, the hybrids, especially in Asia, the hybrid line and the other lines and they have very much trouble getting into what.
And that's not a perfect example. That Turtle Wax hybrid line doesn't matter if the ceramic or the graphene one. If you compare those products to what we have in Italy, in the UK, or in Germany, that stuff just simply can't compete. No, it just can't. It is very impressive in chemical resistancy tests, as I just said, because they developed it that way. But otherwise, it's not that hydrophobic. It's not that nice to use.
I have to also say that the things that are able to be produced in China versus what is being able to be produced in the United States is also a 90-day difference.
Good point.
Because there is also a limitation in what you can make. What can you take into your country to produce something?
Good point.
Or what do you have to gather locally? And if you are going locally, I know this because we have one person going all over the world trying to find new raw material suppliers. What is also a full-time job, trying to find these things, the research that has been done to do this. And then you have local regulations that state that you cannot have certain chemicals inside of your country just by having a factory alone. And that also sets the limits of what you can make.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. And that's also something to do with legislation, because we know in some areas the American brands which produce locally in America are limited in terms of what they can use and are allowed to use.
It's a very big variable.
For their ingredients. And that's a very fair point we have to make, yes. Because, to be fair, some of the Asian brands don't follow the rules of the respective countries.
True.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to find it on the bottle, and it's difficult to find it on the MSDS.
And if it is even possible to find an MSDS with some of the Asian brands.
That is absolutely true.
But then again, there are American brands which also are, let's say questionable in that respect. Yeah.
It raised some question marks, at least, to say the least.
Yeah. So we always try to end the podcast in a positive way. Can you think of any American brands or products where you would say they have impressed you? Where you say they are positive examples where the Americans should put more focus on and maybe buy the products from those brands because
they don't exist anymore. It's
really? Not a single one?
Outphased. Everything comes from the early days from when I was studying use of chemical guys. There was a couple of products where I said Virtual Bond 408 was it was a wax priming product, cleaning primer product, whatever. But for me, it was a product where I can finish the car without touching it.
I see.
I didn't have to create a wipe off. I created something with that product that I can clean the surface, prep it, without wiping off the residue because I was using the foam of the polishing to dry it out and to polish it off. And that product was for me really something to do the delicate black single stage paints that you cannot touch. Where you look at it, you already make a scratch again.
I see.
And because it was my first sealant, Jet Seal 109. And that's
I have a strong opinion about that one.
It was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
12 years ago, I was still doing turtle wax, and then I got chemical guys, and then 20 coats of Jet Seal, and then a couple of beads. That was very impressive back then. Now it's too difficult because now you are used to so much ceramic coating that you cannot objectively give good opinion about a detailer because you are visually imprinted so big about these beads that it's very difficult to judge a quick detailer. If it's doing a nice sheet, you can't feel conflict inside because you're used to these beads and this water running off and everything. It's difficult to then start to compare quick detailers by itself or against each other.
Okay. I can name a few. 3D, and when it comes to polishes.
Oh, true.
3D makes some cracking polishes, which actually can compete with anything we have in Europe.
True.
Absolutely. So that's a good example of where I think the American industry is at least on par with what we have.
Lake Country HDO.
Lake Country polishing pads, still I would say, together with a few others, market leading, yes. Wow. Fantastic polishing pads, yeah. I would still think, as with anything I just said about Meguiar's has still some polishes which work very good, very good. Even if most of them still are on the older smut technology, but some of them really work, and for some people they work better. I would also say...
I forgot the waxes. I forgot...
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Celeste for chemical guy. Miss Celeste Detalio was one of my favorite waxes.
Ooh, but expensive.
Yes, definitely, but fucking worth it.
Because waxes, I think, is an area where America has really lost it.
Yeah, it's not.
They were the leading wax nation without a question, but no, not anymore. Dodo Juice, Neo Wax. What do we have? There are so many. Especially from the UK, HB Sauce, Infinity Wax, Angel Wax, ODK, so many fantastic waxes, which are far better than what the Americans have. Collinite is the perfect example. Everyone recommends Collinite 845 as a liquid wax and Collinite 476 as a paste wax. Those are so outdated and so...
Still have a huge following.
Yes, they have, and
hardcore.
You know what I call those types of products? Legacy products. They are still recommended because there's so much information out there from the past.
True.
But if you look at it, liquid wax is a good example. Infinity Wax Turbo 6, Surfaces Hybrid Wax Cream, Foxed Care Ceramic Wet Wax, One Wax Ceramic Shield Wax. So many. Never heard of that? Foxed Care?
Sounds familiar.
It's from a porn star, a German. Yeah, it's her brand. That's why he knows it.
I know it because of the skyline.
Yeah, absolutely. So many fantastic liquid waxes, which are far better than what Collinite 845 is. I'm not saying it's a bad product, but...
Yeah, considering what's out there, compared to what's out there, but indeed...
And that's often, funnily enough, that's often the issue I have with American reviewers and testers when they name their videos best liquid wax, best paste wax, best spray sealant, whatever. Yeah, maybe it's the best in the US, but yeah, there's the rest of the world.
It's difficult to say, because I could be, if I state something now, that what I state now could be obsolete in less than 24 hours. If somebody else launches a product tomorrow and I have the availability, this is the greatest thing that has ever been seen, and then the next day, this is also, no, this is the greatest thing that has ever been seen. And it makes it also the description of these products, because of the YouTubers, that there is nothing... I am thinking about describing new products without using the words gloss, slick, smell. I'm also thinking about how I'm going to represent these products without using the words epic, legendary, awesome, and all these superlatives. And everything has been broken and everything has no meaning. Slickest ever, cleanest ever, glossiest ever. It's all been said before, and it kills me to say that I can never say these words ever again, because I will also be wrong, because I have not tested everything that's available on this planet. And so everything will be suggested.
But then again, we are now back to ranting, and we wanted to end the podcast episode on a high note. I think I have one, and that will be shocking for anyone who knows me when you hear what I say now. I think there's something any other brand can learn from Chemical Guys.
Marketing.
No, not that one. No, a clear no. Marketing, as I learned it at university, has nothing to do with lying to your customers.
No, that's how I experience marketing.
There's not a single marketing book that says lie to your customers. No. They're not great at marketing, but what they're great at is focusing on detailing should also be fun. Products should also be nice and fun and foolproof to use. And I think in that respect, Chemical Guys is still fantastic. And that's something definitely any other brand can learn from and any other country can learn from, because the Germans are sometimes, or most of the times, too serious. Definitely too serious, too focused on performance. The Japanese are... or let's say the Asian brands are sometimes too focused on value for money.
Also true.
I think some Asian brands could be a little bit more prouder, give us more expensive products, but then also like give us better packaging.
You have seen what I have here: €7 and €11 for 50 ml of ceramic coating.
Exactly, absolutely. The UK, as I said before, it is a huge detailing scene. I think it's too large. There are too many brands. I think there could be some sort of aggregation, which could be good for the industry there. So what we can learn from the US is focus on fun and ease of use.
Yeah, I like the job. Personally, the job to me is the most fun. The use of the product, for me, the product is just a tool. It is a solution to a problem or a way to a certain result. But the product itself, if somebody gives me a bottle of baking soda and I mix it with dishwashing soap and it does what I need it to do without destroying the surface, I will use it, because the job for me is much more fun than smelling, using, trying products. I love trying products, but it needs to lead to something in the job that is going to be an advantage for me, because for the rest...
If you have, let me ask you this question. It's a very simple one. If you have 10 different products which all do the same, they all give you the exact same results and they all cost the same, wouldn't you go for the one that also smells nice?
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
Yes.
That's all I say.
If in that perspective, yes.
If you have 10 different products and there's one that stands out because it's nice to use, it's easy to use, and it smells nice, then I'll go for that one.
Definitely.
And I think in that respect, we all can learn from the Americans. And I think that's a positive enough high note where we can leave it, and I think we explained enough.
Yes, because it's 2024, because it could be next year in 2025 they come out with a new factory, something new, industry disrupting.
Americans, please prove us wrong.
Industry disrupting something. It doesn't matter
don't
what
go
it is.
there, Reggie. Don't go there. We already had that podcast episode, and we didn't get sued, so that's good.
That's good.
So the Americans maybe still have a sense of humor. And can accept criticism. Absolutely, 100%. Because we didn't hear anything about that episode.
No.
But I think that's the positive we can take from there. Please, Americans, please prove us wrong. Please let us know if we are completely wrong, and if you're an American who also has an international perspective on detailing, let us know if we said anything wrong or forgot anything that we should have talked about.
Definitely, because I'm becoming more and more, I'm spending more and more time on product development and less time on detailing. So I'm relying on the stories and the adventures of other people that are happening inside of the detailing industry to inform me and to enlighten me what is going on out there. Lucky to travel to see it by myself, because online is a different world than the real life world. You can see a picture of a pyramid or stand next to a pyramid. I can tell you by personal experience, it's not the same.
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely
not the same.
Good. For the listeners of the podcast, thank you very much for listening. For the people who watch the video, thank you very much for watching. And as always, we give a short little preview of the next topic of the next podcast. Reggie, you see it there? That's the most clickbaity title we ever had of a podcast episode.
It is also the most next to a wheel cleaning video. This is the most handled video or the handled subject ever. The 10 most common mistakes.
The 10 biggest mistakes in car detailing from our perspective. We will try to come up with some controversial opinions there.
Yes, and keep in mind, I am always speaking from my personal philosophy. The fastest, most effective way to a perfect car with the utmost prioritization of man, machine, and environment.
Exactly.
But that is how I go to approach this. So remember that, because it's very important. If I put things in context, think about this philosophy, that I'm not trying to cut you down or whatever, because whatever you're doing a good job. Because if your customer's happy and you're happy, you're successful.
Absolutely. Even if you're an American. Good. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And see you at the next one. Bye.
Ciao.